to Goodness and Gracious. I'm Chrissy.
I'm Renee.
When we're doing this practicing, doing a sound check, I always say, I'm Renee. One of these times I'm just going to say it, and I'm going to mean to say it, and I'm not Renee, and she's not Rubies either. She's making fun of me. So
we hope you joined us in our part 1.
Yeah, exactly.
What we're
yeah.
going for.
If you didn't, you might want to go back and watch it because it's got a little bit of everything. It's got a little bit of drama. It's got a little bit of
Comedy.
Yeah, it's got a whole lot of comedy, but yeah. So we are continuing with part 2 of, let me get my lips ready. Far Above Rubies, a Proverbs perspective. If I would just slow down and I could talk, but I just can't slow down. So in the previous segment, we talked about who a virtuous woman is, and she is rare and she is precious. We talked about the different areas that her husband can and should be able to trust her in. So today, we're going to spend some time in the next 5 verses, verses 13 through 17. Now, this could rattle decades and even centuries worth of beliefs, doctrines, and traditions on both sides of the fence. Women and even men have been indoctrinated, and I would even say brainwashed, with the idea that a kept, pampered woman is, 1, desirable, meaning in the end, the man will be content and the woman will be fulfilled. And 2, that this is the goal or the standard. And it all sounds good in theory until you actually read God's word and discover that the goal and standard are actually the opposite of this. So we're not talking about kept women here. We're talking about what God sees us as and what we should be. So let's dive right in. Very good. Very good. All right.
First time for everything.
Yep. Stop it. So it's very important. It's very important. See, I just can't slow down. To keep in mind that this proverb contains the words of King Lemuel. I think that's how you pronounce it. But the wisdom was penned from a woman, which was his mother. So in case you're tempted to think that the standard is too high, she knew all too well what being a woman meant. Moms should be the first people to teach their daughters the importance of being a Proverbs 31 woman.
That's what we're lacking.
I know, exactly.
Today.
Yes, we are, 100%. Moms should also set the example of a Proverbs 31 woman for their sons and teach them to desire these traits when praying for, searching for, and selecting a wife.
So Proverbs 31:13 says, "She seeketh wool and flax and worketh willingly with her hands."
So
If I don't read that slow, it's not.
yeah,
Yeah.
sugar, wool, a flax,
And rubies.
and rubies. She seeks those things. So this seems to be far from and even kind of opposite of what the world calls a kept woman. She's not afraid to get her hands dirty to meet the needs of her family. The virtuous woman does not need to wait for her husband to get home to do something. She takes the initiative to get the job done, so to say. Being a keeper at home does not mean that the wife takes it easy and the husband is the only worker. Great women of God work just as hard, if not harder, than their husbands, and they do it happily.
So in Genesis 24:15 through 16, we read, "And it came to pass, before he had done speaking, that, behold, Rebekah came out, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, with her pitcher upon her shoulder. And the damsel was very fair to look upon, a virgin, neither had any man known her. And she went down to the well and filled her pitcher and came up."
So if you read this verse, if you read the verses before this one, you find that Abraham's servant was looking for a specific type of woman for Isaac. And Rebekah was out fetching water. What? Fetching water? You mean that the woman he was looking for wasn't out getting her hair done? She wasn't out shopping. She wasn't out getting brunch with her girlfriends. She wasn't talking on the phone or reading the latest romance novel. She was not. The person that he was looking for was working. And she was not only doing her normal fetching duties. If you read a bit farther, she offered to let down her pitcher for Abraham's servant and all the camels. So there were 10 camels. Each camel can drink 20 gallons in 10 minutes. Talk about your hospitality. Talk about hard work that she willingly did. I can only imagine that Abraham's servant was thinking, this woman, she's the one. Winner, chicken dinner. I can't. Winner, chicken dinner. I knew it was going to come out like that.
Chicken dinner.
Chicken dinner. But that's what he was thinking. He could have been thinking chicken dinner. You don't know.
I'm sure of it.
I bet you he was. Okay.
Think what you will.
I will. It's the Christy version.
Yeah. The CSV.
CSV?
Or
No.
CHV.
Yeah. What do you think my last name is?
I was thinking, Gary always says the GSV.
Yeah.
I was mistaken.
Yep. No, thank you. I don't need to be a Sorrel. Heinz is worse, or Heinz is bad enough. So, all right. So Isaac was definitely in for a treat. Rebecca was certainly going to make him a Proverbs 31 bride. So, but we can't stop there. Where did Jacob find Rachel?
In Genesis 29:9, it says, and while he yet spake with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she kept them.
Mm-hmm. So she kept her father's sheep, and this was not a small task. Rebecca and Rachel, neither afraid to get their hands dirty, neither afraid to work. So I believe that most people don't actually know which side of the fence they're on about this. A woman working and doing things like that. I think they really don't know. So it was not meant for a woman to be pampered and spend her days reading, shopping, napping, and manipulating her husband into bringing supper home.
That's called Hallmark.
That's called Hallmark. Yes, that's not
or
real.
Hollywood. Or,
Yep, that's not real. So we are to work with our husbands, knowing full well what our place is and working as a team. That's what we're supposed to be doing. So not all teams look the same, but both roles should involve full participation in what is pleasing to God and should complement each other. Working as a team and complementing each other sometimes requires things to look different than some traditions that Christians hold on to. And I'll just leave that right there. Okay, so it may look a little bit different than what you have traditionalized.
So you go ahead.
Nope, you're
Proverbs
good.
31:14. We read, she is like the merchant's ships. She bringeth her food from afar.
So this is a picture of a woman that does not take the easy route for anything. Merchant ships travel long distances to get the best of the best. A virtuous woman does not cut corners. All that she does and all that she makes is top notch. Now, this is definitely not to say that Kraft mac and cheese can't be on the menu for dinner. It just means that nothing within means is too good for her family, no matter how hard the task.
I can make a mean box of Kraft mac and cheese.
Seriously.
No, I don't. We don't hardly ever eat mac and cheese.
I mean,
like
it can be on the menu,
like
but she's going to do it well.
Yeah.
You know? This does not mean that she puts her family on a pedestal to be worshiped. Charity begins at home, and it is a great place to learn and develop and perfect how we care for others inside and outside our homes.
So Proverbs 31:15, she riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household and a portion to her maidens.
Yes, I guess that means exactly what it says. But do you have to be up before the sunrise every morning in order to be a virtuous woman? I'm going to say no. It's certainly not. And I'm glad for that.
Yeah.
But a virtuous woman is not in love with her snooze button or her comfy blanket.
Mm-hmm.
I've been that before, though. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But she's not. She understands that her family having a good, timely start to their day will be a foundation for success. Not only success for her family, but her own as well.
So Proverbs 23:21b says, in drowsiness
See?
Drowsiness. I was doing good until now. And drowsiness, which I am so tired. Drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags.
See, you're going to have rags to look forward to if you're drowsy.
That's great.
So if you have convinced yourself that you are not a morning person, whether in attitude or a rise time, there is an alternative, more virtuous approach.
I'm not a morning person. I'm intrigued. So Proverbs 20:13 says, "Love not sleep, lest thou come to poverty. Open thine eyes, and thou shalt be satisfied with bread."
So let me be clear. There is nothing wrong with sleeping in once in a while. I don't know what that looks like right now, but there's nothing wrong with it.
I try, but it doesn't usually happen very well. Am I on next? Okay.
Yeah, you're up.
Moving on. To Proverbs
Moving right
31,
along.
16. She considereth a field and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands, she planteth a vineyard.
She's working it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I believe that many well-meaning Christians do not know what to do with a verse like this. Remember, this was the wisdom of a woman, not a man, who has no clue how hard yet rewarding, how tiring yet fulfilling being a wife and mother can be. Okay, so this was a woman that wrote these words. And this is a picture of a woman who bought real estate on her own. She did the research and asked the questions, what can I do to assist my family's income? What is the most profitable business venture right now? And what investments will yield the best returns? Once she decided on the goal, she set her sights on the location. She was the purchaser, the planter, the harvester, and the producer. And having a pretty face, being a great chef, nanny, laundress, and martinizer, the youngins don't know what that is, but that's not enough. A virtuous woman is wise and resourceful. When her husband entrusted a portion of the family income to her, she didn't waste it on clothes, shoes, or fancy vacays. She invested it. The terms and conditions of Christianity do not require women to be ill-educated or unprofitable outside the home. I think that a lot of people have fallen into that mentality. A woman doesn't have to be uneducated or profitable. So this verse alone exalts a woman's potential. A woman is certainly capable of projects and jobs outside the home, but a virtuous woman knows that keeping her priorities in order is of the utmost importance. And that should be God, husband, family, domestic needs, and then business. As long as order is kept, there will always be a way for God to bless her.
So Proverbs 31:17, she girdeth her loins with strength and strengtheneth her arms.
There you go. It's that KJV. To gird means to prepare oneself for something difficult or challenging. Prepare oneself for action, a belt or a band. And a virtuous woman is not content with mediocrity. Whatever she is to become, and achieve, her appearance, her abilities, her example, they must be excellent. Now, don't be confused. This has nothing to do with comparing herself to other women. It does have everything to do with fulfilling the role that God has given her and being confident that He is pleased with her. Not that everyone else is pleased with her, but that God is pleased with her. Pride is dangerous, but it should never prevent us from being the very best everything that God calls us to be. Now, not all of us are beauty queen candidates. I'm speaking to myself. But we can still be perfect in what God has made us, okay? She girds up her loins. She prepares the very core of who she is for whatever comes her way. Whether she is called to battle or to achievement, she is ready. It is not God doing this. It is not God strengthening her loins and arms. God is giving her the desire, and she puts into action what He has given her. She is doing it. She's not sitting around hoping for improvements to drop into her lap. She is not waiting for God or anyone else to enlighten her about some magic potion that will fix all of the discouragements and ailments of life. What she is doing is taking that desire that God has given her, and she's applying it to the things that are pleasing to Him, like reading, exercising, mentoring and being mentored, changing habits, restructuring duties, breaking routines, and putting forth whatever effort is required to strengthen herself in Him. Now, this is in addition to regular Bible devotions, prayer, church attendance, and participation. For the virtuous woman, God's emphasis is on marriage, family, and domestic fronts. But we cannot read Proverbs 31. What we have already covered and what is to come later, and be convinced that God is content with us burying our talents. I'm gonna let Renee. She's gonna have a time, because we're gonna talk about talents here. You should know this, but if you don't,
Matthew 25:14-30. For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his several ability, and straightway took his journey. Then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same, and made them other 5 talents. And likewise he that had received 2, he also gained other 2. But he that had received 1 went and digged into the earth, and hid his Lord's money. After a long time the Lord of those servants cometh and reckoneth with him. And so he that had received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more. His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord. He also that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. His Lord said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord. Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee that thou art an hard man, reaping where thou hadst not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strawed. And I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast that is thine. His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received mine own with usury. Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which hath 10 talents. For unto every one that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath. And cast ye the unprofitable servant into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
you did so good. I am so proud of you. So this is what I was talking about. So when I say that God's not doing it, she's the one that's doing it. We get that example in the parable of the talents, because these were given to these servants. And
what did they do with them?
Yeah, what did they do with them? So that's what I'm saying is, we can do nothing outside of Christ, but there are things, desires, and talents that He gives us that we can waste away. And it's not God that's building those and making those profitable. That we're taking what He gives us and growing. So I love that bit of scripture there. So whether money or actual talent, the servant that invested their 5 and 2 talents, their marriage, family, domestic duties, they received a double return from their personal pursuits and ventures. For the one that hid the talents, they were the one that the first responsibilities were grievous to them. They didn't want anything to do with those. And God could not extend their talents and make them better. Actually took them away from that one to give to another one. So I think that it's very, very important that we understand and we recognize the importance of women to God. And then us women, we need to encourage other women to be all that he's calling us to be.
Mhm.
Seek out what our talents are. Seek out, it could be in your marriage. It could be in your being a mom in parenthood. It could be outside of the home.
Mhm.
We should be encouraging other women to be all that God is calling us to be. That's all
Good
I
job.
have. Well, yeah. I'll try.
Or is there a part 3 or is that it?
Oh, there's more.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think this
There's
was a 5-part series.
Part 3 of Rubies.
Rubies. It's time for some questions, as promised.
Mm.
So, we're going to start with one that I actually came up with. Okay.
Oh, gosh.
So, we talked about this yesterday a little bit. But I'm going to give you 3 date scenarios. And you got to tell me which one you would prefer.
Okay.
Okay. So, Gary comes home and he says, we're going to go. We have a choice of 3 dates. Would you want to go to a Guardians game and sit in
No,
the
it's
Indians game and sit in the very top nosebleeds, very top, as high as you can get? Or would you want to go on a dinner cruise on the ocean? Or would you want to zip line in the canopies of Tennessee?
Well, number 3's out. 1 and 2's not bad.
Not horrible.
No.
Okay.
I've almost done the first one. I didn't like it very well, but I've never done number 2, so.
What's going to be the best one for you, though?
Probably number 2. I guess that's what I would choose.
Good.
Just because I've never done
That
it
gives me
before.
hope. That gives me hope
Yeah.
that this cruise that we're going to take in over a year from now
Yeah.
will be great. All right. So I have 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
This one you're not going to. This is so invasive.
Oh, no.
How often do you floss?
Oh, that's just rude.
I know.
Not very good. Not
Okay.
often.
Okay. Not often.
Not often, no.
When you got something in your tooth.
Exactly. I got those floss sticks that I keep in the
Uh-huh.
car and all
Yep.
that. Yeah, I
Yep.
use them when I need them.
Yep. And so I do. As soon as I read that, I'm like, I'm doing this one because I can honestly say when I have something in my teeth. That's when I floss. I'm so bad at it. Okay. Now, last one. As these weren't that great. I promise I'll come up with better. In the broad scheme of things, what is one item that is worth spending the extra money on for you?
I don't know. That's a hard question in a way. As far as
Anything like I'm not a name brand person, but there are some things that are just,
I agree. Like Cheerios, I won't buy anything with Cheerios.
okay. So Cheerios.
I like Jif peanut butter, but I have bought generic, so that's not like.
Yeah.
And I have bought generic chocolate. It's not the same, but it's good.
Right.
I would rather have name brand soda pop.
Yeah.
Than generic.
I
I like
agree.
Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
Diet Dr. Pepper is my number one favorite.
Yep.
As opposed to, I don't know what they call it, Thunder, Dr. Thunder. It's just my opinion. I'd rather have name brand soda pop.
Yeah, I
That's
can't.
one thing.
I can't. That whole soda thing that the kids have that they could make their own soda, I just have a problem with that because, like, I
would probably try that.
I want the real stuff. As a
Yeah.
kid, I
don't drink soda very often.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Yeah, those were kind of lame, but
That's
that's
all
what I got.
It wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
This
this
will be my
series,
turn next time.
this series, the far above Rubies, a Proverbs perspective. I think we got 4 or 5 of them. Yep.
Yep. So that work.
All right.
All right. Till next time.
See ya.